Welcome to Virtual Global Leadership Podcast, the show where we explore the exciting world of international business and the limitless opportunities it offers, regardless of where you call your home. We discuss the future of work, career growth, startups, managing failures, and many more topics. So, I'm your host Sagar Chani, and today we have a remarkable guest joining us, Olga. Olga is a true global citizen with a passion for navigating the intricate landscape of international business. From the very beginning of her career, she recognized the immense potential that globalization holds for all of us, no matter where we are based. Currently, Olga is living a nomadic life, all while working remotely for a truly global company. Her expertise lies in advising clients on harnessing the power of borderless business opportunities, venturing into unexpected markets, and building and retaining top talent on a worldwide scale. Over the last 4 years, Olga has been deeply immersed in the employer of record industry. She's playing a pivotal role in helping clients grasp the nuances of global employment, offering invaluable insights from both the employees and employers' perspectives. Her work has facilitated the smooth execution of countless labor agreements across diverse corners of the globe. We are in for an enlightening conversation today as Olga shares her wisdom and experiences in the world of international business. Olga, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you, Sagar. It was a really nice presentation. So many nice words. Yeah, I'm doing good. Thank you.
You're welcome. So how your day has been so far? Like how's things going with you?
Yeah, busy working. It's interesting. Again, we will speak about that during our show. Um, but you learn working remotely. You learn to manage like lots of different activities in one day. Like for example, like I'm speaking to clients 1 hour. Now I'm doing the podcast with you, and that's super easy. You don't have to commute anywhere, so you can pack your day with many things, which I enjoy. So yeah, today was one of those days.
Thank you for sharing that. So how do you like how does one come to embrace remote work? Like, did you actively seek out remote work opportunities?
Um, so that's a good question and an interesting story behind that. Um, to answer this, no, I didn't actively seek, but as you know, I'm Ukrainian. I lived in Ukraine for all my life, and well, 1.5 years ago, the war started, so I was forced to leave the country. And basically, within like 2 days, as the war began, I packed my little luggage and left Ukraine. By the way, I haven't been back before until now, back to Ukraine. So I moved to Europe without kind of knowing what to do and how to do. By that time, I was not working in Ukraine because I was taking a break from my last employment, which was also actually in the same space in employer of record. So again, I moved to Germany, to the country where I don't speak a local language. I don't know people. I don't know the local market. And then, of course, the question came: okay, you need to, yeah, start building your career again. And that's where remote work helped me immensely because I didn't have to look for opportunities on the local job market where I didn't speak the language, and I could simply work remotely and do the things which I knew how to do and operate in the space as I knew. And the beauty of the industry I worked for is that you got to know people within those 3 years back then, since I joined the UR space. And it was quite easy to me for me, and I was lucky, definitely for that, to find a job because it was within my network, the company I knew, and I was really happy to join. So I didn't have to send the CVs and apply to the places which I have had no experiences working with. So that was a really great experience, and I happened to get the remote job, and I'm super lucky to have been able to do so.
So this shows that networking helps, past relations help. So I mean, like, you have any thoughts to share there?
Interesting, yes. And the probably the funniest thing is it's not just a network in your community, in your city, in your country, but this is international networking. So you literally get to know people from all over the world, and it actually shows you that you can build communities and you can network and you can build connections regardless of like where you are based, and create your virtual, let's say, networks. It's possible and it's great, and it provides for such diversity and such a amazing experience.
So what advice you have for someone who is really genuine and honest about building a global community? Like any observations, any learnings you would like to share?
First of all, because again, like we are all working remotely, like most of people who work for global businesses, I would say that you need to combine remote, online, and offline interactions with people. So that's the first thing. You cannot really embrace the human relationship without spending some time with people offline, and actually it helps to maintain the relationships online. That's the first thing. Second thing is that basically my job is about communicating to people, speaking to global businesses, looking for businesses who might benefit from again working globally. So you every day, like drop by drop, you build one relationship, two relationships, and then of course at the end, like after a year, you realize you have so many connections, and it's beautiful because then you go to another country or city and you always have people to meet. And whenever I go, I travel quite a lot in my career, and wherever I go, I would always drop a few messages to people who I know in the area to be able to meet offline. So that's very important. And yeah, other things like, of course you provide value when you speak to people. Of course you always try to make sure that the people also benefit from being in touch with you and communicating with you. I guess like those things are quite shared quite often. So but my main focus is being offline and online and combining this.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you for sharing that perspective. So what are some of the key lessons you have learned during your time as a digital nomad? I think I'm sure you are currently also living that lifestyle, isn't it?
Kind of. So I would make a clear separation here between being a digital nomad and being a remote worker.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah, that
was
helps.
Yes, and I was in the position of a digital nomad for the first year of living abroad, of living in Europe and Germany. So I would travel. I would basically move each 2 months. I would try new locations, try new cities. And I can say that, first of all, digital nomading is a job by itself. This is something for people to try to maybe not romanticize it that much, because unless you combine, you relate your digital nomad with some craft where you're a videographer or content creator and you actually live out of that, that is one thing. But if you structure your life in business and more of like different kinds of activities, and then you combine it with digital nomading, then it can create disruptions in your work and can be more difficult and yeah, difficult to manage basically. And so I came to understanding and realization that what works for me definitely is remote work, where I can choose a place to be, I can choose a country to live in, I am free to do that, but I can still establish my life and work from home, from co-workings, but have the routines, which is still essential for building a career, building a stable life, and actually enjoying your life. It also, yeah, you should. I prefer the war and the life where I eliminate unpredictable events, which usually happen to you when you do nomading kind of style. So yeah, that's the main things, I guess.
Yes, yes. No, no, thank you for making some distinction between how how digital nomad, let's say digital nomadism is different from remote working. So thank you for sharing that. So balancing a nomadic lifestyle with a career can be challenging. So could you share your personal strategies for achieving this balance?
Definitely. So, first of all, I think my main focus would be again on trying to build routines, trying to build the your social life and your life basically as if so it's not interrupted by trying to manage the life itself, if you know what I mean. So for me especially, as I say, let's start from this. I currently actually read the book by Will Smith. It's his biography, and
Yeah,
one
nice.
phrase which, yeah, it's like really interesting. One phrase caught my attention so much, and I've been thinking of that. He said that choosing a place in the city where you live is how the same importance as choosing a life partner. So choosing a place, and that's what the beauty of remote work is. You choose a place, you can travel around and you can try things and you can try places, but then you choose something where you're comfortable, where you feel that this place elevates you, which brings the best out of you, where you can grow, where you can build your community. For me, for example, it became Spain, and I've been traveling again. Like I was trying to find out where this place where I can stabilize my life. Spain and Valencia became for me probably the best place at the moment to live because a you get the quality of life that you want in terms of sunshine, in terms of food, and the cost of living, everything is fine. But then also I get to interact, and I get to be the part of the community of people who live the same and or similar lifestyle as me. And especially that what's important about career and being remote is that you are not going to the office, you are not meeting your colleagues that often, but you still need to learn, you still need to improve, you still need to communicate to people who are going to talk not only about social activities, but also about the work related topics. So finding this place, not necessarily in the office but outside, and finding the people who do the same job maybe as you but work for different companies, have different perspectives, and being able to interact with them offline, it really helps to navigate this work and life balance even better, and that's what brings the most value to you, also in your career, when you find this place with people who can elevate you and who can help you grow. um, yeah, I don't know if it's clear or you have some follow-up questions, but this has been crucial for me when I chose a place to be in.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's very true. Because I've been part of a startup business incubator, where the goal is to fundamentally the goal is to create a right environment for them to succeed, right? And and you mentioned a very important point. Be it working remotely. So fundamentally, you mentioned about the environment, right? Environment where uh, of course the cost of living, the places, or how breathable the air is, that all matters. But it's a mix of everything. And yes, remote work allows someone, or the one who is really motivated to do that. So I think I get it. I think fundamentally the needs remains the same, and it's just that remote work allows to maximize it. So this is what I understood when you shared that. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. The only follow up question I have is that there are skills, right? The skills are related to your work, I'm sure, as someone who is communicating with stakeholders from various countries. For you, understanding various cultures, putting your point in the right way is important. Those are some of the, let's say, technical, hard or technically, I would say, soft skills, but it has its own technicalities, right? But then what are some of the attributes or mindset shifts one must be open to explore? If you could share your thoughts there, it would be good.
Mm-hmm. Um, yeah, like if I speak particularly about my position, so I do business development, I do sales in the company, again, international business. I work across different European countries with clients who are employed around the world, who are coming from different countries in the world. So there are certain and soft and hard skills involved here. When I speak to hard things, hard things, hard skills, that's more it's very particular to the industry where I work, because we work a lot with labor laws in different countries and different continents. And actually, that's why this industry doesn't stop surprising me, and doesn't. You cannot get bored here, because every day speaking to different clients, interacting with the different, like with even my colleagues from different continents, I learn something new about the new country, about the new legislation, about the new tax rates, about the special benefits that employees can rely on a specific country. So all those things, and you have to be prepared to not know everything, because it's impossible. It's just like the world of ER is like, it's huge, right? So that's something, but still you accumulate the knowledge. So this knowledge cannot be you cannot take a 2 months course and learn about those things. You accumulated with years and years in the industry. And this is this is crucial. When we speak about soft skills, then definitely, I mean, I live in Europe. I'm responsible for European market, but I'm not even like, I wouldn't say European, but I don't speak like one of even the languages where of the area where I work. And Europe has, I think, like 24 official languages. Like the culture, like you step left, you step right, and you end up in a different country with different traditions, with different people, mindsets. So you really have to be open-minded, and it has to be in you, kind of, to 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 really enjoy the process of getting to know people, to be able to step in their shoes and to explore the world together with them, and be, of course, open to sometimes not being understood. That's also totally fine. Sometimes you just don't know how to approach people, right? Because they're culturally different from you, and those things, it's again something that you kind of accumulate, this understanding of human psychology, actually.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So
and
what?
mhm.
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, and of course it helps. Of course, you really need to learn multiple languages. You have to try to speak a little bit in each language where you kind of focus on, in which countries where you operate, because that's essential.
So how do you keep yourself updated? Like, what are some of the resources, be it websites, podcasts, books, or anything that helps you become better at what you do?
First of all, I know that it's interesting. Like nowadays, there is a shift. I noticed, like I meet people who
Hmm.
are overloaded with information. And there are a few people I met in Spain also who live this digital nomad lifestyle. They say we don't read news, like, at all, because it just burdens the brain, right? And I get it. I understand those approaches to kind of to life. For me, it's the opposite. Probably, I feel like, because I work with different countries, with different businesses, and I do try to stay updated on what's going on in the world. So, like, I started my day with reading like the Economist or BBC or some German newspapers, actually. um, they produce good content. So that's essential to be updated, because our business also depends a lot on what's going on in the world economy, and this is the first thing. Second, I do listen to podcasts, to audiobooks, to books. Like, so I try to also incorporate it in my daily routine. At the moment, I also learn Spanish, because it's part of my life now. So that helps to keep your brain activated. Um, so that mostly during the day you don't notice that, but again, as I said, because we work with different labor laws and
Yeah.
different regulations, you constantly, like, if you, for example, if my client is going to one country, and we are having the conversation about, like, how we will employ the person, like what specific requirements they have, you literally start, like I do study the country. And even if I've been working in this country for quite some time, I do study specific topics related to specific clients requests. And of course, we have the HR people in the company and specialists in all the countries who usually attend the call, so they're pros in what they're doing. But I feel it's my obligation to always know as much as I can about the countries where my clients go to. So that's the constant learning process, and it's a part of your job.
Thank you, Olga, for sharing that. I would like to know more about your company and its role in shaping the future of remote work, because many might not be familiar with the term employer of record. So, if you would share that, it would be wonderful.
Uh, yeah, so this is interesting. Like sometimes my friends see me travel, see me like work remotely, and they're like, "Oh, what company you work for? We also want to work in the same in the same business." But actually, what our company stands for is to for providing opportunities for global businesses and for employees to work to and to live this similar lifestyle, let's say. So what we do is that we help employees, or we employ remote people who work in the countries where their clients, their employers don't have legal entities. So we provide infrastructure, we provide the charge support, we take care of all the admin matters of those people working remotely, so they can keep working from the countries where they are at, or where they're born, or where they want to travel to, so they can relocate and still receive the local benefits and local support from um, HR experts of our company to concentrate on work and not on the admin issues.
Okay. Okay. So can you share one of the clients that you're working with? Maybe you cannot name that, but then how the process looked like, and how easy or difficult this is, and what advice would you like to share with people who would like to build career with like the
Mhm.
organization of yours?
Yeah, so there are like two sides of the question. So first of all, like what businesses need and what employees need, right? Um, if we focus on businesses, so businesses nowadays, again, economists go international. Like nowadays, it's not enough to stay in one country, and it's actually there is no need for that. There sometimes, and we work in this sphere, so for us it's already easy. Like it's sometimes a question like, why don't companies like go to some to another country to hire somebody who they're looking for already for a year in their on the local market, because they cannot find the person, right? So for us it's already became as a norm to hire people in different countries. So for businesses mostly, there are two reasons why they would come to employer of record, right? First is that companies expand. They expand internationally, but they're not expand to the way to the extent yet where they just point the country on the map and then open up the entity, hire 200 people there, and they're launching operations full scale, right? So let's say they're testing the markets, they're hiring the local salespeople or marketing people who would be aware of the local, well, specifications of the market, speaking local language, right? And they need to keep these people in their on their books, basically have them employed, so to have them part of the company, because you cannot actually hire salespeople in B2B contracts. Is quite also not compliant. So for that reasons, again, they don't have their entity yet in the country, and they need intermediary and third party who would employ that person. Let's say, yeah, Spain, Asia, Japan, wherever, right, wherever they go, and for them to kind of test the market. They can withdraw from the market very easily when they have no kind of commitments, no company to close down if they somehow it doesn't work out in the market, right? So that provides a really easy entrance to the market. You can hire people at some point where they reach a certain level of operations. They would open up their branches or subsidiaries, but that already comes in the second stage. So that's the first thing here. And the second one is the talent. So what we see in Europe, it's especially when I work with German clients, it's really getting harder and harder. The markets, the labor market in Germany is really tough because there are no local, not enough local professionals which would satisfy the demand, right? And that's why actually Germany recently eased the immigration policy for foreigners who hold specific qualifications, because indeed it's a big problem for the country. So in those instances where companies struggle to find local talent on the local markets, they can easily look for talent on a broader scale. They can try to, even not in a specific other country. But we also have recruit talent globally. So just when you know who you need, and if you're open for having this person working remotely, and you are yeah, basically not dependent on location, you can find this person anywhere. And then it gets like so much easier, especially for businesses which operate in English, which don't require specific language skills. Well, mostly let's say IT professionals, right? But there can be any others as long as they can work remotely. So this opens up opportunities for companies to significantly ease this talent war, which is really strong in some countries.
Yeah. So I have a question here. Like in Europe, who are the drivers of official employment relationships? Employers or employees?
Um, so yeah, so basically it's both sided. So for employers, we already I just discussed why would they seek employment. To add here is that companies which have significant level of operations, bigger companies, uh, companies who try to stay compliant and who want to make business properly, they would not go for freelancers B2B contracts, which kind of is still popular and still makes sense and still has its right to exist, let's say. But they would look for proper compliant employment of those people in different locations. So that's where they need intermediary, they need employer of record service who would employ the people. So that's a driver. That's where we are talking about the drivers being employers in the companies. For employees, it's also quite interesting because we sometimes get approached by individuals as well. First, it's people also kind of, I wouldn't say shift from B2B contracts, but more people in Europe value a lot the local labor laws because Europe has a really good protection of employees' rights and provides lots of benefits. And if you work remotely, you still want to kind of have access um, to the benefits of the local labor market, let's say. And so employees also sometimes seek and quite often seek official employment relationships. What would I add here? And it's probably crucial at this point of time. So now we work a lot with Ukrainian businesses and foreign businesses employing Ukrainians, right? And the situation has been the following after the war broke is that Ukrainians, lots of Ukrainians, about 6 million of Ukrainians, and we have a country with like 44 million people, 6 million are now living in Europe. So they had to flee the country. It's been a significant move, let's say. And of course, the war is not over, so people keep staying in Europe. And luckily, some of them, some part of them has the opportunity to keep working remotely for their businesses, which is a really great thing. But those people moved to different countries, right? And now, for example, there is Ukrainian business employing the developers, and the person with his family moved to Spain, right? And the Europe was interesting in the way that to live here and to actually be able to open a bank account, to rent an apartment, to like do any kind of administrative things, you need to show like where your income source, that you're employed, and that of course that opens up many doors for you. So what we've seen recently is this shift in demand from Ukrainians, especially when this war has been dragging on for a really long time, that people are seeking local employments. And of course they're not looking for a job on the local market, because like if you're coming from a different country, you never spoke this language, how would you find a new employment, right, in the country where you live, like in Spain, for example. And those people are seeking exactly this support from companies like ours, who would be able to employ them and provide the security, but still they can keep working for their businesses without any interruptions. And I find this a huge blessing, at least like these days, that at least some opportunities people can keep, even though they have to undergo through many difficult things.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Olga, for sharing that. The recent reference that you shared, really helps understand, how the organization is helping and how things are working. Then how do you see the relationship between employees and employers evolving in this borderless work escape world landscape? Yeah.
Yeah, a good question. First of all, I'm sure that the way businesses work before, it's never going to happen again. Like, I will not dive into this conversation
Yeah, yeah,
again.
yeah. I get
In
it.
the office, remote, that became already a little bit too much of it. But and nevertheless, in terms of employee employers relationship, so what I've noticed from my own experience is that in the past, where you would be restricted to the office space, everybody would work together, you would, as an employee, you were kind of selling your working hours. So you would come to the office and your life would be concentrated around work for 8 hours, and you go home, you live your life. Nowadays, because we are not anymore selling the working hours as much, but we are selling the result, like I mean employees, right? So you are selling the result of why you are hired, because it's difficult to track where somebody's work and what they're doing. So mostly you have to be responsible much more today on the outcome of your work, rather than maybe you would like come up to the office for 8 hours, drink a coffee, eat lunch, and then I don't know. I didn't do that, but I know there's a pretty frequent stories. And nowadays, you are realizing that there is more responsibility on your shoulders in terms of being more result oriented rather than a process oriented person. And that's how I see the relationship evolve on a broader level, because employees would be more like they're small business owners delivering their services to employers, and you would have to prove that the work you are doing is relevant, that you are producing the results. And that's a significant shift in the mindset of people, because I think as we grew up, like going to school, somebody would tell us what to do, we would come to work, everybody would tell us what to do. So nowadays you are working kind of independently to some extent. So it's your
Yeah.
job to make sure that you are doing the right work, and that your interests, employers and employees interests, meet and produce a great result together. So this is like more of a mindset thing. The second thing, which is really crucial, I think, to border this business, is that the pay gap. So
Hmm.
nowadays, again, as the shift towards hiring people, let's say like 5 years ago, if a European company would hire somebody in Asia or in Latin American countries, you could get a significantly lower cost of employment, just because the people in those countries would be um, costing companies less money, let's say, because they would compete, the international businesses would compete with local businesses, and of course international businesses win because they have more of a power in that way, let's say. Nowadays, as companies go abroad to seek for talent more and more, the kind of this pay gap is also becoming, how to say it, shifting in the right way, I would say, because people, the countries where the cost of labor was significantly low in the past, nowadays you can see that the salaries rise quite a lot, and they reach the level where they wouldn't quite yet like meet Americans probably in their Californian salaries, but nevertheless, and this is a great I think move, because it provides, first of all, for equal opportunities for people from different parts of the globe. Regardless of where you live today, you can get not the same, but at least like close to similar opportunities if you have something to sell, right? If you know the craft. And second of all, it also elevates the local markets, because people would bring the money into the country, and it would also improve the level of life or in the countries where kind of deprived of this economical opportunities otherwise. So that's, I think it's a really great change which is happening.
So, how comfortable in your journey you have realized that companies are okay to give, let's say, similar compensation, whether they would have given in their home country to employees around the world? Like, what's your take on that?
This is a really big question. As businesses, especially we speak about NGOs, as like businesses who are more into the sustainable side of doing the job, and they're really preoccupied of how they will leverage, and how they will make sure that they provide this the equal opportunities to people, right? Because to be honest, nowadays, as like let's say American business, they hire the American person with let's say I don't know 200K year salary, and they would also hire somebody in let's say Philippines for like 50K, right? But the American person can easily like because business works remotely, the person from the US can easily move to the Asia to Bali and live there for like a really much lower cost, and just by having the passport which allows him for better opportunities, it doesn't make it equal, right? Like it's not provides for equal treatment. So business is actually really looking, and I would say there is no the definite answer on how this will be managed, because it's indeed like you kind of can move, so you can move from more expensive location to a cheaper location, but what if you live in a more expensive location? People still have to have higher salaries. So this is a quite difficult, but I think the businesses are mostly now looking not at the cost perspective only, but again, where the talent is available. Is this is a talent that will close our needs as a company? And that's the main question that they have to ask, because at the end something will definitely change on the market, because it's going to be a big question, like taxes wise, salaries wise, again, like people move. So it, still of course, like now, like we still see there is a possibility for companies to use this opportunity, yeah, as business didn't go completely borderless yet, so you can still like look at the locations where it's a little cheaper to hire. But nevertheless, yeah, it's kind of an interesting question which is kind of standing
Sure.
in HR's mind.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Olga, for sharing that perspective. Now, I have a slightly different question for you. A lot of my friends who would be watching this and who are watching this are all into people-facing roles, and they are based out of Asia and Southeast Asia. Now, while you mentioned that you are also in a way client-centric role, right? So, what qualities you would look at in the person who is wanting to be part of the client centric, be it business development, be it community building, be it sales? So what do you think are the attributes? The reason why I'm asking you this question is because yes, your connection helped you get this role, but your talent and your approach is helping you grow in this role. So that's my why of asking this question. So it would be great to hear your thoughts.
Good question. I think I wouldn't give like a definite answer to that.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
also
I just need your
depends.
perspective. Yeah.
Yeah, it also depends on the industry where you work. So first of all, I think regardless of, even if you're doing sales, like customer facing role is one thing, but like what is the business, what is the service you're providing, what is the product that you're selling, right? And I believe like any salesperson, any person who is doing the customer relationships roles, they still need to be confident and competent in what the product is, what the service they provide. So hard skills, I feel like they still come first. So you have to be good at that. There is no question, right? But then, of course, when we move a little further and when we, okay, so this person is particularly having the customers relationships, then then it comes to soft skills, and this is mostly you really need to be good with people. You need to love it, because it can be a really hard role, and even the most extroverted people like get tired from constantly speaking to people, constantly being active, constantly communicate and building relationships. It's really hard thing to do. There are lots of emotions even involved in that, I would say. So you have to really love what you're doing, because that people on the other side, they would feel it. And again, people buy from people. Whatever business you do, still, again, like as I said, you have to be competent, but you really need to be the person who people want to interact with, and they want to buy something from you, and then be willing to talk to you afterwards. So
Mm.
you have to be that approachable person who is create this relationship. So that's the main thing. So I guess building relationship has to be something inside of you. This is not something that you can just, acquire as a skill. You can improve it as a skill, but it has to come from the inside.
So what is Olga's a way of building intentional relationships?
um Good question. So first of all, um like, if there are two things again, like online and offline, like I would say,
From a remote point of view.
yeah, I think I know how to answer your question. Like, even like not business related, I am a very curious person. I
Mm.
like to ask a lot of questions. Like, even with my friends, I'm really interested in what people are doing, how they're doing, what their lives are. And this is something that it not just helps you, it's needed. That's how you build relationship, and that's how I like doing that. And when I approach people, I'm really genuinely interested in what they're going through, what their businesses are doing, how they navigate through life, how they navigate through their positions, especially in sales. In our job, it's really interesting market that we have, that you cannot clearly identify, like, if the company really needs remote work solutions, right? Like, you don't know if the company is hiring remote, if they're open for that, if it's something that will suit their business or not, because you really have to qualify for this thing, right? And to be able to ask the right questions, to know the questions to ask, and to be interested genuinely in people. First of all, it creates a relationship, but second of all, it helps you maintain the right relationships and helps you help people at the end, because you know how, as you discovered a little bit about them,
Hmm.
their themselves personally and their businesses.
Absolutely. No, no, it's a wonderful, wonderful perspective. Thank you for sharing that. So, what are some of the misconceptions that you would like to share from both employers and employees' perspective on global employment? Like, it would be great to hear your thoughts.
um I think biggest misconception is, I think the biggest one is that businesses feel, an employee, like, I think businesses more feel that they're a little bit scared of, like, going abroad and hiring people in foreign countries, because there is un um, unwalked this unwalked steps. I don't know, it's like, it's a Ukrainian language expression, but nevertheless, you get me.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
unknown ground scares people, and they feel that it's really difficult, because as soon as they get an employee or get a contractor in a foreign country, like, what do we do with that? So does HR have to now incorporate like 3 hours per day of work to just learn about the new country where they have a worker, right, and how to stay compliant, how to navigate all the labor laws? So they prefer, like, to stay on safe ground sometimes, just to avoid this hustle of, like, working that. And I get that, and it's really something that might happen if companies would try to do everything, like, by themselves, and they would try to figure out, like, on a local perspective. But again, because I'm biased, because I'm in this business for a long time, and for us, it's already the process which is super automated, is super easy to manage, and it's, of course, like, it's business has been growing for years, so we know things, how everything is done. So I usually, like, when I speak to my clients, I'm like, okay, just don't worry, we'll walk you step by step, it's gonna be fine. Like, just trust us, because we've been there, and we just take care of everything. So to say that, I think the misconception that they will work more, and it will add the workload to companies' shoulders to manage the foreign workforce. So this is not true, especially if you have companies helping intermediaries who would manage their workforce. It's actually even easier, because then your internal HR is not doing the job, and the external company does, right? So it's kind of outsourcing. Um, so this will be the main thing which would scare businesses, which is why the employer of record is not so yet probably well known. As in the beginning you asked the question, okay, maybe you can explain what you're doing, because not all the companies know. I guess that comes, like, both ways. Like, no, they don't know, and they're scared of entering, let's say, foreign international arena. Yeah, I think that would be the biggest one, which I would name.
Thank you for sharing that. Also, what I understand is that managing labor agreements across various geographies can be legally and regulatory complex. So, how does your organization navigate these challenges?
Um, it is very complex, and the funny thing, I guess, people not from the industry would ask this question, like I think 5 6 years ago, when you are just employer of record just exploded as a business model, right? There would be a company operating on a local level offering employment services in one country, and then next day on their website you can see that they're providing employment services in like 160 countries, right? How is it
Mm,
possible? Like how do you do that, right? um, Back then it was really really interesting model. So you would literally outsource all the local jobs to foreign companies. Like, so you would literally look for partners who would do the job for you, so the companies would be just aggregators of the solution. They would just sell the solution, but then the different businesses would execute it locally. Nowadays, and that's what probably our company is doing, I think, is the rightest thing to do, and that's what helped us grow so much in the past 6 years, is that we do have our own legal entities. So we do have our own staff, HRs, and we are not just like selling the global solution, but we have the local teams responsible for each country, and everything is grown from the inside. So we have a global compliance department who is overseeing the regional and global perspectives, and we have local HRs, local payroll specialists who are working on the ground, because indeed you need to accumulate a lot of information. You have to keep track of all the little changes which happen, and of course like that would influence employees and employers. So that now what we've been building is from a local level, of course, bringing it into the global perspective, and consolidating things. So
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. So, in the context of globalization and remote work, how do you envision the evolution of work in the future?
um, yeah, also a good question. So, from the perspective, you mean like remote work, or in general relationships between employees, employers?
I
How?
think generally remote work, because I'm sure you are having a hawk-eye view on what is actually happening, both from the employee's perspective and the employers. So you are in between. You understand the demands of both the key stakeholders in this. So that's where my question is coming from.
Um, yeah. Okay. So probably I will still have to a little bit stop at this point and say that yes, I believe that remote work will stay. I believe that that's not going to go anywhere, and it can be hybrid, it can be different ways, but people are adjusting already. And it's like actually this interesting discussion between like remote or in office work, because I believe that we cannot just move either back onto full office work or just like completely remote. Things are evolving, so there is something new which will evolve and which will satisfy the needs of employees and employers much more. And an interesting discussion I had recently with my friends about the also the struggles, like what people have working remotely, like what are the things which are not making them super happy. Probably is the fact that still you are deprived from this opportunity to communicate offline to your colleagues, and we are social creatures, right? Like we still need interaction. So this is, I think, the biggest problem which is standing, at least like on the employee side, and which has to be solved. So, and we were talking, and it looks like there is the starting move, and kind of desire and need to create like a communities of people, like kind of a co-working spaces, but not that much. So like communities where people, if they don't not cooperating that much offline with their colleagues, but at least they would gather in some circles of people like doing the same jobs, same roles, or like similar companies, and would kind of work together and create their own like hubs, and yeah, like working hubs, which would help people and also grow professionally, not just satisfy their social need, and of course do that. So the way I think the physical aspect of how this will work, because I see that people are shifting also from the home offices into the like public spaces, co-workers, because I think we all got saturated a little bit with being at home and we need like more of an official place to work, right? So on this level, I think there will be major changes happening, and there are lots of businesses like now, for example, really popular, especially in Europe. I see like lots of new businesses pop up offering the co-living services. So basically, for digital nomads, where you can come and live and work at the same, like in one house with people who are also like traveling and working. So you kind of combine all these life experiences, and that's something I still see will be growing in the nearest future. And yeah, like in terms of employment, of course, if we speak about more the professional side of things here, that there will be more and more demand. And I think in our business, for example, like pandemic just accelerated the business from different perspectives. So for employment industry, it was the booming time, right? And it's still gonna be growing the industry, because the people will just find out that it's easy to work remotely, to be employed, and to have like to have it all, to have all the benefits, and be productive. And yeah.
So just a question, because I'm based out of India. It's like um, 1/5 of the population, every fifth person on the world is Indian. So just wanted to get your perspective on how do you see things shaping up, let's say in India or its neighboring countries, or for this particular business, or for that matter, the remote work. How are your lens, like how what any projects that are happening at this side of the world?
um we have a lot of clients who are hiring people in India at the moment, like a lot.
Wow.
But what's interesting, we have also a lot of Indian businesses who are going abroad. So yeah, I think like just yesterday I had the conversation with the company, like maybe like 2 days ago, with a company who is also looking into European markets. So I think, I mean, it depends. It will be hard for me to answer because it depends on from which
Yeah.
perspective you are talking about, right? But what we can see is that
I just wanted to learn the trend. I think your observation. That's it.
yeah. So my observation is that people are hiring in India, outside of India. There is lots of people still traveling. So for example, for India, like what I see also, like the trend, which is probably not comparable to other countries, is still like in India, Indian workers would like to leave the country. So what we see is not enough for them to just stay maybe in India and work remotely. So we see like lots of people asking for immigration services as well. And even though their companies are maybe based in like some different countries, and they need still employer of record to employ them in a third country where they're traveling. And this drive we see mostly from the employee side, but also from like there are lots of companies who are helping Indians to move, and they need them for different types of jobs. It's not necessarily remote. There are lots of offsite work to be done. So there is a shift. Like, of course, people have this opportunity of working remotely, but there is still a need for people to move around, and that's not always easy for countries who require special permits, visas to move for professional reasons. So that's something that, of course, it's still trending. Let's say.
Thank you for sharing that perspective. And one final question I have for you, Olga, is that how do you manage your work-life integration? Like how the days look for you, and then how do you ensure that you're not getting mentally, uh, you know, uh, disturbed, or like you're not engaged too much in work, or how do you balance that?
I embraced, as I spoke, like about employees employers relationships, like about the entrepreneurial mindset that people need to build in order to work independently and remotely. So for me, it's been crucial, I think, and the biggest revelation probably since I started working remotely, and it would helps me in my day, because I concentrate, okay, so what is my goal, what I need to do, how do I structure my time. So again, I focus on results and I focus on the task. And it's not only about like, okay, like now at hours I focus on work and then I focus on leisure and then I focus on studies. Like you look at the picture at your life from a broader perspective. Okay, what's your goal, what's your career needs, what do you need to do to be successful at your work, and then you structure your day based on your natural needs. Of course, like some people again like more productive in the morning, some in the evening. So I make sure that I account for lots of details when I structure my day, and it involves and work and personal matters. And also, as I said, building routines and making sure that you can do small things every day where nobody's asking you about them and nobody's tracking that. It's your responsibility to know that you need to do small steps to reach the bigger goal, and you always have to kind of trust in yourself and rely on your own judgment and your own perspective in life to make sure that you're doing the right thing. So taking responsibility, I would say it's the most important let's say skill that people need to acquire, that they're not looking up to like somebody text them and give them a job, like, or somebody like a boss come and say, oh, you have to work. You really need to know what are you doing, why are you doing, and how you will do it in the best possible way for yourself and for the business.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Yes, I completely agree on the entrepreneurial mindset and responsibility as core skills, attributes, maybe part of your DNA if you're planning to go remote or you're already remote. So thank you, Olga, for coming in here, sharing wonderful insights on EOR industry, on what Go Global is doing, and about your transition. We will definitely touch upon, maybe we can have one more podcast, and I mean I would love to know more about your transition, leaving a country and coming here, and then uh, establishing yourself, and moving forward in your career. I think that part is something that I would love to know more, which we can definitely do it in the next podcast. So thank you so much for joining in. Any closing thoughts for the viewers, and if anyone would like to connect with you, know more about Global, and reach out to you, then feel free to share the coordinates.
Yeah, thank you, Sagar. It was actually a really interesting experience for me because I never did like live podcast before, actually, like even offline neither. So it's been really interesting to share some ideas. And again, communication, making sure you take an extra steps nowadays to get in touch with people online, to produce something together and create this relationship that's really important, and I like this opportunity. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure, and I'm happy to at some point to talk about more of other things like the moving countries. I think it's been significant, like it influenced a lot myself and my career, and millions of people also who had similar experiences. This is a different topic. Nevertheless, for people who are watching, who maybe will watch this in recording, I am very much open to meeting new people and to connecting with anybody who is interested in any part of my journey, professional or personal. So please feel free to reach on LinkedIn. Usually I'm very available. Like I think I'm always green online active. So happy to chat, and yeah, happy to
Thank
meet
you.
you again.
Thank you, Olga. Thank you, viewers, for watching this episode of Virtual Global Leadership Podcast. And I promise I'm going to get Olga once again and all the fantastic leaders. I'm doing this podcast marathon till 14th of September. Yes, every day, Monday to Friday, we are having a podcast till 14th of September. So stay tuned. Bye bye.
Sounds good. Okay, Sagar, have a good day. Bye bye.